That's cool. It's green. Anyways, good morning, everyone. I was going to discuss a few things. This won't take too long, but there's somebody wanted to get my attention tonight, and they did it in the most of shadowboxing ways. And by that I mean they jumped in a Discord server, um, which in this case is, of course, Weenies. Hey, good morning. How you doing? Which, knowing, I'm sure this guy knew that, but of course, he can't really see that unless he's a moderator admin. But I'm sure he saw plenty of times that being the case. So, anyways, this guy starts like hashtagging me on Discord, not YouTube, and he starts uh, running his mouth about stuff he knows absolutely nothing of. And this is a guy who goes by Combat Wombat. You guys ever heard of this guy? He kind of sticks to one particular side of YouTube. Um, I've seen him in like Gen X Joffs or pretty much anywhere Mike Cerrone goes. This guy is literally psycho obsessed over that guy. His entire channel is devoted to that guy. John, how you doing, John Henzo? I seen you got popped on the shit show earlier. I didn't exactly see what you said. By the time I seen you in there, you were gone. Anyway, um, I don't know. Unless you deleted your comment. I don't have a wrench there, so I wouldn't know. Um, anyways, neither here nor there. Um, anyways, this guy, much the same as people that have been talking, trash to me in Ladybug's Discord server or Weenies, some of them in Squishies. This is the former Ambient and Alcohol, crew. Dutchy is in there, of course. And for the most part, I really don't pay these people much mind. I never really have, to be quite honest. But I mean, their drama is, pretty much far left field from mine. So, pretty much really don't cross paths that much. As far as I know, I don't think I've ever made a single video about them. Now, somebody could correct me on that, but I don't believe I don't think I hum along if you can't sing along. Well, good morning, sir. Welcome. Good to see you. Happy hump day. Really early at that. So this guy, I remember his channel, and I'm like, okay, now I know where he's at, and I do sub to him. It's 14 now, actually, but I'm not in it for the numbers. I'm not a numbers game kind of guy when it comes to this. I'm not monetized. I could have 27 views, 270 views, 27, 27,000, 100,000. It wouldn't matter. I'm not. I don't make a dime off of it. But anyway, but I'm glad you guys are with me. Those who are. But this guy Wombat, he starts running off at the mouth about me lying on Mr. P's or Late Night with Mr. P, if you know who he is, who just recently started going live again. And for what reason? I'm not sure what his reasoning was. If he had like an agenda per se, I'm guessing he probably did. Or he just decided, it's been a while, been a minute, I'll go live. So, anyways, at this hour, that's not too bad. Not too shabby on a channel like this, right? I'd say that's all right. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and most of it does not involve me. So I really don't get involved in it. So occasionally I'll make a little comment about, hey, the strike wars are going on and this and that and this and that. But it is true that I was the second channel struck last year when when the first strike war began, at least from this side of YouTube. There was other people striking each other even prior to that, but for better sake of argument, yeah, come along. So, oh, by the way, it reminds me, Emo's kind of been going live a little bit lately. I don't know if you've caught that or not. Now, Wombat, I don't. He apparently didn't recollect me letting him get on my panel last year when I had Mike Cerrone on my panel, and knowing that Wombat is kind of an enemy troll of that guy's. And not to say that Mike is anywhere near Mr. Innocent when it comes to things he's done. I'm not even going to begin to remotely insinuate that by any stretch of imagination at all. But I'm certainly not like devoted to any particular individual. I mean, you notice my channels are not like geared at any particular person. I'm just not that, I guess, vested in it, you might say, or dig that deep into stuff. I mean, look at all the people that were talking mad shit about me for over 3 years. Was it 3 years of it? These people were psycho obsessed. We learned of the stories from Lisa B, with things going on behind the scenes with good old Black Rose. And that was rather interesting when a lot of that came to surface. It's like, wow, talk about being psycho obsessed over somebody. Now, Combat Wombat took a couple cheap shots at me, but it's the same regurgitated stuff. Obviously, he's been talking to people from like that server, that Wicked server, and to be quite honest, if you're watching Mr. Wombat, Combat Wombat, I'm pretty sure that she doesn't know really anything about me at all either, and it's easy for me to make that sort of a assessment, if you will, determination, when people who try to, act like shitheads around me, with their attempt to troll, merely repeat the same one-liners that have been in circulation for how long now, Mr. Wombat? So, this guy, I really had to correct him on a few issues. Now, we're going to get into Cap Gun here in just a minute. He was having fun there on the shit show a little bit ago. I'm glad he was. Good for him. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, Mr. Wombat is a rather interesting character. I did mention him, actually, by mere coincidence, when I was live yesterday, by comparison to someone else. No, I didn't catch your live, but I was live myself for a while. But good morning. But anyways, this Wombat characters, who I'm kind of not really focused on, and I'm not gonna. This is the only stream that I'm gonna do addressing this, so hope you enjoy it. But anyways, so yeah, this guy's just throwing the same one-liners. Like the two of them, I think. He doesn't even know all of them. And I'm sitting here waiting for this guy to... I'm like, okay. I DM this guy in Discord because I'm not able to respond in her server because I'm timed out for 6 days, a whole week. LA Spike, good morning. Hebrew, hey, what's going on? There's the old gang. I'm glad you're both here. You guys need to hear this. You really do. Stick around a minute. Trust me. This is you guys are part of this. You guys were part of this as far as where it all began, in a sense. So this Wombat guy, again, he's going, well, he starts talking about something about sovereign citizens in reference to what I don't know, but he at first thing he starts out by saying I lied or something, I'm a liar. So I came back to him again because I can't do it in the server, and I said to this dude, hey, I'm sorry, you You just called me a liar, and I'd like to know. I'd like to get from you like an example. I mean, when you call someone a liar, you usually say, "This is why." I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all graduated from like preschool and kindergarten, and even the first grade, where kids would say stuff like that, and we just would just shrug it off or like, hmm. But I mean, how about you guys? But typically, when somebody calls me a liar, I'm going to ask them why. Why do you feel this way? I mean, hey, you're entitled to your opinions, abso-freaking-lutely, just as I am mine. I'm not here to take that away from you. But usually, you would say, Honest Abe is a liar because. Now you fill in the blanks. So he deflected on that. Of course he did. Of course he did. Then he just threw out the old rolling troll that was started by Bedtime Clown. Apparently, I say that because, of course, that guy takes the full credit for it, as he would. Him or Flying Monkey would, either one of them. That the whole Autistic Abe troll that was going on last year, but that actually started about 2 years ago. So then I came back at him, and I said, I'm sorry, you're deflecting the question that I asked you. And he did not answer that question at all. He tried to skate over it. And I wasn't about to let that happen with this guy. So now this guy, what he does is he cowardly, and I say cowardly because, again, he knows I can't respond in Wicked server. How you doing, nerd? Yeah, I'm gonna pull up on Wombat. Well, I'm gonna have to hitch a flight or get on a ship because I know he's over in another continent of the world, I believe. Could be correct on that, but no, I'm not gonna pull up on Wombat. But that's a funny question. Well, we all get that quite a bit, but anyways, like I said, I'm gonna address this one time here tonight, and that's about it. You notice the title of the video. So, anyways. Yeah, so then basically he drops in her server that if he's insinuating that I'm spurging out, insinuating and projecting that. And I'm like, okay, this is the usual. These are some of the words that are way, way overused out here, is people calling everyone a retard. Isn't that like an 80s, 90s term? I think it is. And then, of course, people saying everyone's spurging out. That's another way overused word. So he puts it there, if I continue to, quote unquote, spurg out in his DMs, he's gonna put them out there. So I went ahead and saved this guy the trouble, and I says, hey, that's what you asked for, Mr. Wombat. That's what you got. And I took the DMs and I put them on my YouTube community tab and I hashtagged him. I hashtagged Mr. P because he was referencing him, of course. And then I hashtagged Hebrew operator. Why did I do that? Because, well, we're going to get into that in just a minute. I explained to Mr. Wombat that it was guys like Hebrew, myself, L.A. Spike, you were there, Kristanar, Dagmar, goes on and on from there. We were the ones that were on Hebrew's channel a couple of years or so ago when Mike, a.k.a. Mr. P, was just getting to begin to go live on his own channel. And that's actually true. I was one of his earliest mods. I think you were too, Hebrew. LA and a lot of us that were around at the time. Those were some of the funnest times I can remember having on here before all the bullshit started and the lies about me were getting on hot and heavy. Now, again, I mean, usually when I call somebody a liar, I'm going to give an example. I'm going to say, okay, you're a liar because X, Y, and Z, right? Typically how it works. Now, guys like Joey Waffles, who kind of fit into the mix with that particular side of YouTube, I don't agree at all with taking his channel out. Now, I was watching Vegas' Valley's live stream last night. I even made some comments in there. Saw you in there, Hebrew. My pleasure again, sir. But the nuncio is his name. First, he came on there and started like mouthing off at me, demanding I get up on the panel and answer myself to him over some tall tales of me making a video, some kind of an MTV. Hey, MTV. Remember MTV VH1? Once upon a time hosted music videos. Not so much anymore, but he's like, all right, I'll provide the link. Never did. Anyways, I don't know what he's talking about. I went and checked my channel just to say, I thought maybe I hashtagged that guy one time. And maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't find the video. So, and Frank, apparently he couldn't either, or just gave up on it. I don't know which. But usually when someone demands that I get up on a panel, as that guy did, I'm not going to. I don't cater to people's demands. I mean, neither should any of you. Unless we're on the payroll, right? That's right. So I did not. I didn't get up there. So, anyways, the reason I bring him up is because he took, of course, the full credit for nuking the guy Joey Waffles. Now, if it is true, which I don't know if it is or not, that Waffles has made all these, and he did do that. I remember being in his, what he called his fake server, and giving an inappropriate role, as I would call it, to his arch enemies. And I was I don't recall ever being given that role. Maybe once, I'm not sure. But anyone that was in there at the time knows what I'm talking about. And there was another role he made for me when I said, "Hey, I want to be green." So he just made a rule for that. And then he kind of restricted us to like one room or one channel on there, and whatever it is what it is. It didn't last that long, and people all left. So, not to say that I admitted this. I did that. I let something go or slide by on my server of a what you would say a horrendous accusation made against him, which is untrue. As far as, I would never make that claim. But we're far beyond it. It's like, well, if you're going to call other people out yourself, including me, of course, which I own, of course. I owned it back then, I own it now. And it's not one of my prouder moments out here, I'll tell you, guys, I'll tell you. But I'm sitting here going like, dude, all these people are coming at you saying you're throwing at all these accusations out at them about stuff similar in nature or the same kind of thing, and they're saying it's not true. So I pretty much just like, okay, I'm just whatever. This is just a back and forth. It's just not worth my time, and I'll leave it be. And that's what I did. I remember when Dutchie had a channel called The Pathetic Cult Diaries. Do you guys remember that? I do. She did have some really, I'm not going to lie, there were some pretty cool panels that they did on there. But a lot of it was, of course, restreaming Quick Vic and Mr. P. I actually got blocked on that thing once. And that was before I think Truthfinder nuked it during the last strike war. It was funny to see people, Dutchie was the one who came back at me and said, so something like the strike war, which you have nothing to do with, or is not. I love it when people just like to throw shit out on a limb, and they just throw it out. It's like throwing a curveball, hoping you're going to swing at it, and it's going to be an automatic miss, or hell, maybe they're hoping to bean you, and you're going to walk to first base. Of course, they wouldn't want to give you that. Not that they could help it, but I'm sure they'd love to bean me. Maybe you too, I don't know. But anyways, I guess my point is, I love these people that come out of the woodworks and they want to get a piece of the action and they just haven't done any grain of homework except for talking to who the people who I would call quote unquote Abe Nayers, most of these people have very limited knowledge. Anyone out here has very limited knowledge about my personal life or professional life, and that's the way it aims to keep it. Of course, it's that's one of the oldest tricks in the troll playbook for anyone is when trolls start to attack your personal character and your family and stuff like that. That's pretty much what it's about out here nowadays. So it would seem, and that's that's rather unfortunate. It really is that it has to turn that way, but it pretty much has. It's gotten very ugly out here. I think a lot of you agree with that. But I'm not here to put words in your mouth either. So, like I say, this is the only time I'm really going to address this now. But yes, it is true that there was a handful of us that helped, Mr. P along the way is when he was first starting live, and that's not to say that any of us are to be credited for the growth of his channel once he got going with it and did all of his content. Hell, I remember talking about Jupiter and planets and the solar system on his some of his earliest live streams. That was actually rather interesting, rather a lot of kind of fun. But that's not the stuff that sells, and obviously he knew that. So drama is what sells. There's a lot of things that went on there. I remember when he had the shit show, like some of the people from there on his channel, and there was a whole debacle over showing Amanda Erickson's image or whatever as an avatar, and that all went down. That was a couple of years ago, and that was kind of right. It ties in right around the time the Tyrant War channel was kind of homing in on him for having them on his channel. I remember that. I do. And then they just kind of backed off and left him alone when everyone went their separate ways. But that is stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with me at all whatsoever. And that was around the time they were going after King Troll, Mr. Outside. I just saw him in he was in Vegas Valley's chat last night. Said hello. The real King 9, I guess, or not King 9, King Troll, Mr. Outside, that guy. Now that guy holds the record if we're talking about the Tyrant War channel, which everyone seems to be so intrigued over, which I don't know why, because that channel's virtually dead now. There's nothing going on with it that I can really tell, except for like, what do they do? What do they pump out this year so far? Maybe 3 videos. Those videos were all replay videos they were re-uploaded videos, so there weren't anything new videos. Maybe, I don't know, a small handful of community tabs is really about it. But they were going, Mr. King Troll, Mr. Outside, has the record of having had that group or that channel, having made the longest video they ever made on anyone was him. The video was like an hour and a half or so long. And I remember at the end of the video, they listed the 4, they listed all their quote-unquote tyrants, then they listed their top tier 4 tyrants. And I swear to God, I thought my name was not even going to get brought up in that, but it did, it actually was. I was number 4. I remember the names of the people. If you find that video, and you go to the very end of that video, well then you'll know who the 4 are. And I was number 4. Hey, but anyways, that's like I say, that's all long dead and gone now, and it would seem as though people that were involved in that group have kind of broken away, and there's this kind of like mold or reformation of people that go after the targets that they went after in a whole different way. Okay, and that's just that. Again, a lot of this, I'm going to tell you, is my theory. I theorize this. Do I know this to be fact? I do not. It is strictly me. All I'm doing is spitballing. That's all I'm doing. So there you go. Probably hear my kitty cat in the background. Anyways, I'm up, so he's up. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Can't think of a whole lot else. I'm not gonna go for too long here. I just wanted to go live for a little bit and kind of go over this. Oh, I was gonna talk about Capgun for just a minute, and so Capgun, I saw him in the shit show tonight, and he was, and I'm glad he did this. he came out right away, and he had said, he noted that he said that this person, that person, is not what they had been accused of, said having being. Okay, so that's just that, and I think that's noble of him to come out, even though at least one of those people would be someone who would probably not be someone that Mr. Capgun in particular would favor. And I'm not even talking about me. This is cool. The interesting part of that is that, like, Capgun was one of the first people back then, even now, who loves to come out there and say that Abe attacks women. Abe stalks women on YouTube. He did that with that lying Diamond Classy Diamond Art, who's been pretty active in a lot of these chats lately. Good for her. You know, have fun with it. That's what it's supposed to be about, right? Yes, exactly. But now, if you go to COVID's, you got to get his side of this. Sometimes you can talk to him about it, preferably off air, if he's willing to discuss it at all. He would probably beg to differ with that woman himself in some of his dealings with her, and that is his story to tell, not mine. So out of respect, I shan't repeat that. But I know what it all entails. I do. Just trust me. Take my word. So, what did Diamond Classy Diamond Art do? Well, what she does, I had just gotten kind of like let back on or invited back on, per se, on Jamie's channel. Now, oddly and interestingly enough, that was much to the credit of Capgun Slim. I was on STL's channel, and a lot of the UPKers are all like, filling the chat. They were. And he was restreaming him because he was blocked. And then 0151 also was trying to push for me to get, let back on his channel. So finally one day, they just said, "You're unblocked, come back over." So I did. I did do that. And then good old Diamond Classy is in the chat, and I think I just said something like, "Good morning there, dragon," or something to that effect. So then she she blows a lung and has a cow, and she goes up on the panel, and she starts squawking and whining and crying that I stalked her in real life. Okay, that's what she says. She did say that. I've got the whole live stream downloaded, actually, and it's on my. I think it should still be on his channel. One thing I will say for him, whether you like him or you don't like him, he doesn't dirty delete any of his stuff. He doesn't privatize it, as far as I recollect, unless there'd be a valid reason to do so. And we all know what those reasons would be. Someone trying to, someone doing something, or somebody, they actually played something where something got put out there that wasn't intended to, that might, be not so well, whether it be a doxed or in part or in full or whatever. Anything. It can happen to the best and the worst of us too. It can, including me too. So not to say just like him per se, right? So she's up there just, screaming at the top of her lungs that I've done all these things to her. I've stalked her and just will not leave her alone. She didn't bother to. The one thing she didn't bother to tell Jamie or anyone up there was, by the way, I've been on different channels where, of course, we block Abe from, so he can't get on there and say anything in response to us, of course. we've been talking all kinds of mad shit about him for hours on end. And we do this like at least 2 or 3 times a week, which is absolutely true. They were. And I got all that downloaded too, by the way. We've also been insinuating that he's a PDF file. We have also been stating that he's had multiple DUI convictions, so he lost his license. Went to prison for harassing a guy on the CB radio in California, because all of this came out of the mouth of Rick Crude. If she would have been honest, that's what she would have said. So Abe, hashtagged myself and the rest of these dotard degenerates out here. Of course, she wouldn't say that about herself. And did a response to us. 3 or 4 times over the course of maybe, 2 or 3 months. But by the way, we were talking mad shit about him every single night for weeks on end, for hours. I thought I'd let you know that, Jamie, and the rest of you guys. That's not even anywhere near what old Draggy did. Now, see, the other thing she used to do was she was a friend of Huckleberry's, and hey, I am not a gatekeeper. If you want to be friends with anyone, it is no skin off my back. It is none. But see, here's where at the time, a little known YouTuber, now much widely known across this drama community, was happened to just coincidentally, and I tend not to believe in coincidences. Good morning, good morning, sweet. How you doing? I do. I actually woke up from taking like an hour nap or so, and I'll go hit it again in a little bit. But so, anyways, she was on with Huck on a channel known as Chuck Chasing the Facts. This is some of the old watchdoggers, right? So she's up there and she's laughing it up. Now, I downloaded this thing. It was on Lisa's old channel, which is gone, unfortunately, now. And she's up there laughing it up, and I clipped her a second time on another panel, and that's on my channel as we speak at present. I uploaded it to my channel here not that long ago, like a month or so ago, something like that. And she's sitting there laughing it up, saying, I just do this to, annoy Abe. It gets under his skin, and it just takes much the same as Blue Eyes finally caved in and admitted on COVIDs well, she didn't tell the full truth there, though, see? She said, okay, yeah, I just made all that stuff up about him. And even though even though it was, probably the wrong thing to do, it's just what we do out here. I mean, hey, there was a lot of us on that panel, like 9 of us or something, 8 or 9, 10 of us. We kind of maxed that thing out. And pretty much everyone's agreeing with me that that's not what we do out here. We don't run around and call people PDF files and things like that are not. We just don't do that. So, I mean, much the same as Rick Crude got scolded by AC on the shit show. This is going back like 2 years ago now, almost. Well, no, actually, it's been longer than that. It's been over 2 years. Because I was blocked off the channel for like 2 years, remember? So this has been prior to that. And he actually scolded Rick and said, come on now, you know how the rules are out here in this community. We don't call people things like that unless we have proof of it. So there it is. Do you have proof of that? And of course, Rick just kind of sighed his head and said nothing. Which then, of course, the very next day, he's on there on his old channel, which got nuked, but not by me, blasting me away again, throwing out all the same lies as prior. Now, Blue Eyes is not the one who made that stuff up. She picked it up from Rick Crude. Just the same as the rest of these people did. Same thing. So, the thing that got me over that whole thing, the whole spiel, was nobody bothered to go to those people and say, excuse me, you're making some very, very tall claims against this guy. And we've all had him on our panels, time and time again. I mean, we're talking about the era when guys like Tonic and Sales and those guys, were having fun trolling me. although unrelated to any of that. In other words, they were not trolling me over saying that I was anything anywhere near remote, anything like that. No. But they were definitely alarmed when that came out on Polly Crispies. It absolutely did. And it brought me into question by this entire community. My problem with this entire community is this. And this I want to get out again. Because in the future, I would like to see, even though this is clearly not going to be the case, I can preach this all day long, every day of the week and twice on Sunday, 365, 366 days a year, if it's a leap year, which is every 4 years, right? Right, that's right. So, you know I'm saying that, right, Evil Terry? He goes, that's right. I just like how he says that. I'm not actually making fun of the guy. How you doing, Zero? No, this isn't really replay. I'm just bringing up some stuff. I was talking about but this guy, Combat Wombat, who's like psycho obsessed over the Mike Cerrone guy, and that's fine. Have at him. But anyways, he got a taste of my medicine tonight. So that's why I went live, talked about that. So the one thing I would like to see this community, of all these communities, do in the future, this is what I would like. It doesn't mean that's what they're going to do, because we all know that's not what they're going to do. Is this just in a massive fire? Is there, what do you call it? A wildfire or something going on out there in the Nevada desert? Anyways, well, that sucks. Well, the good news is, whoever the people that like work and live in that location, I'm sure they can evacuate it and get out of there. That's a lot of open space out there, and before anything gets going, I guess. And if it is true, it holds weight that most of the secret stuff and all the rest of it is deep within the mountains and underground. Well, then it won't be affected anyway, even if the whole goddamn base goes up in smoke. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, that's an interesting story. I'll check that out when I'm done. What's his name? News Now Preston has been talking about that lately because he went out there, I guess, and Rick Crude says he didn't, and he's, I think he's having fun trolling him in return back. I mean, plus he's defending himself too and saying, you're full of shit, which Rick Crude always is. Always has been, always was, always will be. Nothing new there. But anyways, back to the story here. Area 51. There used to be a bar outside of town where I live that was called that. I remember it. It was called Club 51 is what it was called, actually. That's what it's called. Just remembered that. Anyways, pardon my, excuse my yawning. I know it's going to. Are you guys yawning now, by the way? I am. But anyways, to close that whole argument that I've been preaching here tonight on that particular topic is this. People should go to the people that are throwing out those claims against other people, and they should be saying, okay, you're the one that threw this out there. I presume that you have something to show that'll back your claim. So yeah, there's a lot of wildfire smoke that's going on in the Midwest and even out east because of the Canada wildfires, and that's kind of been an ongoing thing the last 2 or 3 years. So it wouldn't be any much surprise that things are really heating and cooking up out west, including places like that. Being where it is, there's a lot of shrub out there that can burn, but and cause a lot of fun smoke and all that. So, yeah, good luck to the people at Area 51 and was it Nellis Air Force Base and Nevada test sites and the Tonopah test range and Yucca Flat Mountains out there. All that government top secret above and beyond and below top secret stuff. You have to have a 008 or 9 security clearance to get into. So unless you crash the gate, do a 98. Let them truckers roll, 10-4. I remember they referenced the not Illinois National Guard in that song Convoy. Anyway, there's get your 70s on, right, guys? Abso-frickin-lutely. But anyway, that's where I'm at, is when people throw out claims. If I throw out a claim, if you want to call me on it, that's perfectly fine. But just understand this. If I do come out and say something about someone and you want to see my receipt for it, 9 times out of 10, because we always end up regurgitating and rehashing over old news, which is what people, obviously try to do with me because it's all they got to go with. You're going to get an answer that you're not going to like, and you're going to be like, okay, show the proof now. No. You're the one that brought it up. I'm calling your bluff on it because those receipts are they are indeed on my channel, my community tabs. It's going to be in community tabs between 3 different channels. So you'll have some good luck digging for it. Is all I'm going to say. And if you're really that interested and you're really that vested and hell bent and determined to find that proof, then you'll go digging. Hey, that's what people did to me, so I'm just doing it right back, right? You want proof? Go find it. It's there. Mark my word, it's there. I would put my hand on the Holy Bible and swear at all these people that in fact it is there. And when you put out a receipt in a permanent method, such as a video, such as a community post, and it's actual proof, it's evidence to back your claim. Who out here in this particular site of YouTube is the ruler, the emperor, the keeper of the flame, if you will, to say that you have to continuously keep showing that proof over and over again when people challenge you about the same thing over and over again? And the answer is very short and simple. You don't. Typically, when somebody tries to call you out for something, the burden of proof is on them. And the problem that we get ourselves into is this. When we present a receipt, or let's, for example, you call me a liar and then you throw something out there. You say, okay, you lied because you said this or that, right? Then naturally, all of your arch nemesis enemies are going to go, yep, there's the proof. That's the receipt. Well, wait a second here. Pause it. Back the bus up here, people. Back it up. Back it up. Keep going. Keep going. Who is the judge, jury, and executioner out here to make that determination? In other words, that the receipt that they're presenting is an actual valid receipt. It's in other words, it's true and true, thick and thin. They're not trying to blow something out of proportions or insinuate something off of a clip that's literally always taken out of context and say that is the actual factual KE proof that in the pudding that you're guilty. See, there's another slippery slope. And if you want to talk about a change of venue, where are you going to find that? You're not going to find that anywhere out here. Every person out here is literally biased in some way, shape, or form. And yes, that abso-freaking-lutely includes myself. It does. It certainly wouldn't make somebody like Black Rose or Hillbilly Man or Silly Wabbit or any of that trio that exists in the world of some of the lowest IQs on the planet. Even when you mix them, you mix and match them together, you'll be lucky to hit a 120 IQ. Let alone a 20, right? Just saying. So, anyways, I have to go back in the replay crew of that one, nerd. That village idiot thought he was going to get one up on me when he goes, there's Abe Spurging, there he is, because he kept tagging me. I got the screenshots of that. I just didn't put that out because that was out of what's her name, Wicked's server. But I do have the screenshots of that, and he's sitting there tagging me over and over again, running his mouth. knowing that I'm timed out for 6 days a week on that server by her, of course. And not that I care, it's just the fact that, okay, you're doing this on purpose because you know that I'm shadowboxed to even respond to you. And come on, that's pretty cheap. That's a pretty cheap shot you're trying to take there, buddy. When you're taking pop shots at someone, you knowing that they cannot even respond, that is as low as the people that I talk about consistently that came from my old side of YouTube that would run their mouths and talk shit and block me off their channels for years to come as they continue talking all kinds of trash talk about me and not presenting a single receipt or presenting what they said was a receipt, which turned out, of course, being not. So there is that. I don't know. The Combat Wombat guy is a strange case, and the only in that I say is he focuses entire effort on this Mike Cerrone guy. And I was glad to get more than one up on him tonight. I think he was a little set back when I told him, "You're sitting here running your mouth off about me. You're saying I took basically without saying it took over Mr. P's panel, and which is what I see these guys do all the time anyway on all their channels. But of course, that's the double standard. It's a one way." This is a new term I want to introduce out here in the community. It's called one-way transparency. Do you guys like that term? One-way transparency. I have coined a new term, as far as I know, for everyone to spread some joy and share the love out in this wonderful drama community. And it's called one-way transparency. And what that means is these people demand transparency out of you while showing none themselves. So this is a do as I say, not as I do. Kind of a terminology there. You guys like that? One way transparency. Perfect. And then you get people driving the wrong way all the time. You do. So, now, do I hate this guy, Wombat? No. I'm only going to talk about him in this live stream and probably never again. It's just not worth the time. Do you like that term, one-way transfer? Thank you, nerd. Spread it around. I like to spread some joy out here, you guys. Everybody loved it when I introduced. I didn't invent the term per se. Iced out and in the community. Rebel really loves using that one. So, anyways, but I think eventually I'll probably encounter Mr. Wombat again. You know what's so funny? In where was it at? The shit show server. There's this lady known as what is it? There's AK Lady, and then there's another AK in there. And I know who they both are. The AK Twin or something like that. I think that's who she goes by, something like that. And she started, taking pop shots at me because it's the popular thing to do, obviously, to fit in with the rest of the class. Let's say the crowd. That's funny. And so if you can, so you can try to, it's like a proving ground. If you can troll Abe, then you're like worthy of us. You're continued worthy, or you get brownie points for that. Basically, you get that merit patch or badge. Hell, you can even have a trophy. I don't give a shit. But it's so funny to see her in there saying, "Well, I don't want to know you." Or get to know you. And then see her going like, okay, you're sitting here talking, you're talking smack to me, lady. And apparently it kind of skipped over your head there that you used to be in my server. Both of the AK women were in my server. They used to get in my VC and hang out and talk with me and everybody else for extended periods of time. Jesus Christ. I mean, hello, wake up. Anybody home? Look, my server was where all these people were hanging out in before a lot of them vacated my server and then ran over to LG's server, which she inherited by Polly Crispy. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't care. Now, there was people that were spreading tall tales, and this was done to try to sabotage my server, of course, numerous times, right? You're still with us, Sweet. And that was this. Um, so they would grow that server and then have everyone leave mine. So, Polycrusty, I mean, that's funny. I'm gonna remember that one. I think I've heard that before by you, I think. So we'll give you credit for coining that one. Why the hell not? So whether you did or you didn't, who cares? We're gonna go with it. Why not? Hey, what's good for thee is good for me. It's what the rest of these guys do. Why can I not do what the rest of these guys do and return back to them just because they don't like it? Well, fuck that. I mean, I'm gonna do what I want to do. You guys should too. Nobody tells me what to do and run my channel, how to run my channel, or how to act and behave on goddamn YouTube. who died, rolled over in their grave, and made these guys the lords and emperors and gods of YouTube? I mean, I sure as the hell didn't. Did you? Just saying. So, anyways, I guess guys like Crosswords Corrosive think their shit don't stink either, right there, buddy? Yeah, gotcha. So anyways, what do they do exactly? That's that. Hey, there's an ultimate question. What do they do? I haven't seen Birdo around tonight. But that's funny about Birdo is all these people will scream at Birdo. They'll scream about Birdo, but then they'll always want more Birdo. They can't get enough of them. And it's true. These people, they, especially when they start getting bored and the content starts getting really stale and old, like pretty much all of it has by now, hasn't it? Or hasn't it? I mean, I think it pretty much has. So, I'm just like, you can only literally regurgitate over the same people, this trying to troll the same things over and over and over. And I get that's why you would want to try to encompass other sectors or areas of YouTube. Well, if no one wants Birdo, then why do they keep bringing him on their panel and making a whole mockery of the thing? I mean, obviously there is a market per se, if there is such a thing out here. What's called a micro market, not a macro economic, but our marketplace for people like Birdo. They literally do, and that's fine. I mean, I'm nobody to say that if that's what you want to do or not do, then you have my blessings. I mean, come on. If I was to say that, then I would be a bigger hypocrite, or just as much of a hypocrite as the people I'm calling out right here, right now, tonight. So there's that, right? There is that. Anyways, you flip it on, and it's so it seems like it's really rehearsed a lot of the times, don't it? I mean, it does. And one of the things about this particular community is very true. Now, if somebody wants to argue that point, if somebody wants to do a schedule with me, to do a panel with them, and I'm not really open to doing open panels like I used to, because it's such a big waste of time. It's counterproductive. Nobody can just act normal. Nobody can take turns talking. Everyone has to scream out over the top of everybody, throw out the same stupid bullshit that, over and over again, or whatever. It just gets old. I get tired of it myself. So, and granted, I occasionally I will bring things up from the past. You betcha. Especially if it pertains to what I'm talking about now, today. That's usually when I do it. Or if I'm addressing people that are doing it. I'm returning fire back to them. But on that note, I've never believed that when you start a bar fight in a saloon on one side of the street in the center of the OK Corral, that you should stop the fight in one bar and then finish it in another one. That makes no sense. So by that I mean, what does he mean by that? What does he mean? What's that about, huh? Well, what I mean is, if you're on a channel and if there's people on a channel, on a panel, talking shit about you or me or whoever, that those people should have the right, although they don't per se, they don't, to get on there and have their say and fend for themselves and not in seeking what people have dubbed a Captain Save-A-Ho. No, people should have the ability, the access to get on and take the bull by the horn, or bulls. Usually it's plural, because a lot of these people can't go at it alone. They gotta have help to do it. They absolutely do. So much the same as I used to see Capgun and Evil Terry tag teaming it with me, or him tonight playing second fiddle with Combat Wombat in a server I'm again timed out for 6 days on now. It was initially 7. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying that why would you start firing pop shots or hashtagging someone that is in that predicament? There's someone that person is shadowboxed from making any comments on your server, on a server, we'll say. Why would you even hashtag them knowing that? I mean, that's just so stupid. I have a server, and if any of these people want to come in there and they want to take me on and make a whole, week or month or year long of this thing, sure, no problem. I'll bring you right on in. You won't get timed out. None of that's going to happen to you. I'm not going to isolate you to a shadow room, a room that's like no one there. I'm not going to pull the same shenanigans on them that they do on me. I'm just not going to do it. Now, for the channel owners that have given me a wrench, kudos to you, as I hope you would do for everyone else. There's a lot of gatekeeping out here with the wrenches and the channels. Not that I give a flying fuck, pardon my French again, about wrenches. I could care less. The only thing is, the reason why these guys would do that, of course, is so that you can get timed out. In my case, me, or blocked, or both, or whatever. And that's another form of shadowboxing. It's a political term. Look it up. I see this I see this across multiple communities. Don't get me wrong. It's not isolated just one or two, but it's very prevalent, in particular in the groups that I'm talking about here, right now. It absolutely is. Aside something much bigger than that, of course, which is the strike war, where people are trying to completely annihilate, vaporize channels rather than just block them. So I would rather see people just doing that, playing games with the chat, or hell, even on the panel where you're getting muted and your volume's cranked way down and you're thrown backstage, the usual playbook, if you will, same routine, than I would people getting their channels nuked. I will say that. I don't care who you are. If you're talking shit, people used to tell me, and they used to come at me really hard, particularly from like the shit show side of YouTube. And they used to say, well, what are you trying to do? Who are you to silence their voices and bullshit like that? It's like, I'm sorry. When and where did I try to silence their voices to begin with? And they would say, well, it's their right to block you from their channel. Well, sure it is. When did I say it wasn't? But that does not mean, however, that I can't sit here and call it out. I can't call it what it is. Shadowboxing somebody? I'm sorry. Yes, I can. These are the first people to cry the first minute they get timed out for 10 freaking seconds. And they figure out, hey, I got timed out. Whoop-de-flippin'-do. There was, on one channel, there was people flipping out because Pink Birdo got timed out, like one time. Meanwhile, I'm getting nailed left and right. Nobody says one single word about it. I'm like, well, then I came back in the chat, of course, says, hey, wait a minute here. You're all a bunch of hypocrites. You guys all have wrenches. You've been seeing my ass getting popped for 5, 10, 15 minutes, a freaking half, even 24 hours, and not a single one of you will knock it down to 10 seconds. And you're screaming about Pink Birdo getting timed out one time. Yeah, okay. Yeah, checkmate there, buddy. Now, where's Biff Thundermuffin? Has anybody seen him around? I haven't seen him lately. He's on vacation. Hey, if he's on vacation, that's his business, not mine. I'm not prying into the guy's personal life. But there's another guy who sits there and try if he gets angry, he does. And this one thing Mr. Waffles was correct about him with, and I haven't agreed with a lot of stuff that guy has said, and I still don't. Don't get me wrong, but he was like, yeah, Biff will help all of his friends out, get all the clips and videos and stuff that they want. But yet, if he doesn't like you, then of course, he's gonna sit there and he's gonna make all this shit up, and he's gonna try to find every little receipt he can on you, and then put a spin on that. I mean, hey, that's what even Nathan Johnson did to me. Now, don't get me wrong, him and I were going back and forth on that one for quite a while. So I would fire a shot, he would fire a shot. We go back and forth, and that's a tit for tat. Now, in all fairness to Mr. Johnson, there, one thing he did not do, and I do credit that guy for this, he didn't block me from his channel. He didn't. Now, granted, there was a mod that would do it, but not him. Now, he certainly wasn't about to give me a wrench on his channel. No way. No how. Even though he's got one on mine. As far as I know, he still does. Probably in multiple channels. But just saying, when him and I went back and forth, and then he tried to blast me, whether it be in videos, putting out clips saying, well, this is what Abe said and intended. Well, who are you to say what exactly I was, what my speech was intending, or the point that I was trying to make, put across? Play the rest of that thing. Let's listen to the whole thing in its entirety and then make our determination from there, shall we? Not what he did. But then again, that's much to say the same for pretty much everyone else out here that does that too. Now, that's why I always say, listen, when I put out clips, if I'm trying to put out something serious, what I will do is this, and you can put me in check on this. I'll grab the clip. If I have it available, which I typically do, I'll put in a timestamp of where that was, where in some video that was taken out of, and I'll put the link to the video also in the description. So you can go watch the whole thing from beginning to end if that's what you want to do. But the only problem with that is people I call it a dirty delete or privatize their stuff. Even if it's privatized, I clipped it, like on 69 Mammies. I did that a couple times to her when she was lying about me doxing this guy Patriot Defense with his Tyrant Wars channel like 2.5 years ago or whatever it was, right? Well, I mean, naturally, she left one of the videos up after under pressure. She finally put it back up. The other ones, however, she did not. Now, if you were to go to her last or second to last time she did a live stream, it was quite a while ago, probably like half a year ago. She privatized, privatized it. I have to go get a drink of water. This happens when you talk for an hour straight, right? Yeah, it is. But anyways, so she privatized it, and I did get the clip out of that, though. I got the clip she didn't want me to get. I am for sure. And that was the clip where her and Mr. Hillbilly Man were on there. And what those two did, and I'm going to tell you exactly what those two did. What her and I know Black Rose and old Hillrod Spam, I know they're sitting here watching this right now. I know you're there. But see, what him and I almost said Black Rose, but this one was actually him and Mammy, not her. What those two did is they outright said, they didn't insinuate, that I suicide baited a underage girl. That's what they stated. And I clipped that. I still have that clip. I've got it in a privatized video on my channel. So that was what was said on their panel, one of their last panels. And they both chuckled and laughed about it. They thought it was funny. But that's the type of people that we're dealing with out here. Now, I've had a lot of people on my side say, listen, and they've come out and said, well, okay, these people have said these horrific things about you. once they found all that out, it's beyond just standard trolling. It's outright accusing people of horrible things, just like that, even worse, and having nothing to show for it. What's so funny? At the time these people started throwing those outlandish claims against me, I was actually working in civil service for local government. Imagine that. Do you think they'd have somebody that these people just basically painted me and portrayed me out to be working for the government on your tax dime? Probably not. Just saying. So, aside working for that campus university police and public safety department, do you think they'd have somebody working there doing that kind of work who was on paper for anything? My guess is probably not. So, but that's the thing, and that's actually true. I was working those kind of jobs when this was all going on. So Queef Control does not talk. He has been on panel, but he won't speak. So there is that. So yes, I've actually got a couple of downloads of him being on a panel. Supposedly, I mean, it's his avatar. It is his username. I mean, I get it. People can easily spoof on StreamYard, but for the sake of argument, let's say it was really him, and he did not speak one word the whole time through, from start to finish. So, in Queef Control, you've thrown some crazy, outlandish stuff about me, too. And then you come back and say, I trolled you into that one. I mean, you really think it's funny to make a mockery of things like that? I don't. I hope that people like not to do it again. And she, cam slipped. That one time on vids when she got so triggered. Yeah, there's that. She didn't really like it when the dices and the odds got turned against her. That's the thing. See, she got so accustomed to having her friend trolls from my old side of the shtick all ganging up on me at the same time, but the catch-22 to that is this. How many of you were around when I got on the very first shit show panel ever? How many of you were there? Show of hands. There's 11 of you here. If you were there, you would have heard me taking on 9 people, 8 or 9 people, all at the same time. All of them hounding me, dogpiling, trying to gaslight, and just throwing out accusations. We heard this, we heard that. Blue Eyes cam slipped on COVIDs. Oops. So that was, what was that, like 3 months ago or so? I saw her around a little bit after that in a couple chats, but I don't really look for her anywhere. I think if she's hanging out on any channels, they're certainly ones that I don't hang out on. That Tom Cambino, that idiot. That guy was, the time I got to take that guy on his panel, I did that like twice, 2 separate days. He was talking shit about me, and I got on that dude's his chat, and then he kept timing me out, and then I came up on his panel to take him on and ask him what the fuck his problem was. And the only thing he did was he just kind of sat there like panel furniture for the most part, and then he kept muting my microphone and turning my mic gain down to 0, and he kept dropping me in the basement, and he eventually blocked me from the studio, but not before I got a screenshot of that. Then he blocked me in his chat. Was it Lisa's? No, I remember it being on COVID's distinctively there, because that's where we were all at. And I grabbed those screenshots. I actually grabbed the video. So, oops, a daisy. Every dog has its day of being forgotten. Mom, it's my birthday. What would you say? So, anyways, Dave Matthews, man. Hey, according to Harry Balls, if you share a cam slip that someone does on a YouTube panel that's not like backstage, it's public, it's live, and everyone's watching, that's doxing. Of course, that only applies to me. We could talk about some of the stuff he's done that I have proof of, but why bother? Why waste my time with it? And I will say, talk about hypocrites. You know, it's amazing that after what that guy did in a server, a picture that he dropped in there, shall we say, and the clipping of an obit, shall we also say, that no one seemed to care, have a problem with it. Now, what do you think those people would do to me if I were to do something even remotely close to that, or perhaps even insinuated it? I do believe that I would definitely be iced out from every one of their servers and their channels to boot. But because it was someone that they like, well, that's different. There's a different set of rules out here for different people to follow, and it all depends on popularity, notoriety, how much clout you have. Are you a pillar of the drama community, like Binks is? So, like Binks, there's another one for you. So that one there came out and said, "Wow, this Toxic and Snails 2.0 account was on multiple channels, making all kinds of terrible statements and threatening to dox me and all kinds of stuff." And of course, the usual Abe nayers just immediately, instantly, like Capgun Slim. I think he was one of the first ones, just like he did with Draggy getting up on Jamie's panel to say, "Well, that's terrible. How could he do such a thing?" Now, see, not one of those people said, "Oh, hey, Binks, do you have any screenshots of this? Do you have a link to the original channel? Do you have anything to show for anything you're saying at all?" And then, of course, they say, "Well, there'd be no other account out here like that one. No, no, no." What's so funny about that one is, you know what's so funny? Just the other day, there was an account like that. And I found it on, whose channel was that? Because I grabbed the screenshots from it because I had a wrench, and I was able to click easily. It was in Zatachi 444's channel. It was in there, and it was talking up a storm. And it has an avatar of an old, and I mean, it looks like it's an old screenshot of Tonic and Sales. Probably when he was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9, 10 years younger than he is now. It obviously was taken from some live stream. I'm like, well, that doesn't even remotely match the account that I had. And here you are saying there's no other accounts that possibly exist out there. This is Abe. This is just like a server that I was in earlier yesterday when they were discussing the Masshole server getting nuked last year. And Harry Balls and everyone hounding me and saying, "How could you do that, Abe? How dare you take down Kate's server? Shame on you, me laddie. How could you do such a thing? That is just, it's asinine, it's what it is. It's asinine. So, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you did there. Shar, shiver me timbers. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum." So, I'm like, I'm sorry. You do realize that is the asshat that kicked me out of her server over 3 months prior, before the thing got taken down. And these guys are talking about how some plant, or there was somebody that was in the server that did something to it, like mass flagged it or did something to it to cause it to go down. Obviously, that tells me something. They don't even know what caused it to go down. And some people came and says, "Well, what if they nuked it on purpose just to try to screw with you and troll you?" That could be, but I'm not saying it's plausible. I mean, anything's possible per se, but I don't know why somebody would go that far, especially with a service got like 3,000 subs in it. To take it down like that, I mean, come on, why would you do that? So it's just incredible to me, this double standard that exists out here in the world. And this court of public opinion, this kangaroo court, that we use out here. Who's the judge of the? Who's the judge? Who sits on the jury of this one? Change the venue to a different community. Let's find a Bible study community out there. Let's find a cooking with grandma community. Something that has nothing to do with drama to be the judge, jury, and executioners of that one. Let me tell you, because that's literally what you would have to do to find a neutral, unbiased, untainted jury, if you will. Even the judge. Hell, I wouldn't even want a bailiff from anywhere on the side of goddamn YouTube. Would you? I sure wouldn't. Would you? No, thank you. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So, but no, it just behooves me. Like I say, it really doesn't matter what you do out here. As long as you're somebody that's in the inner circle, and that's all out it. Look, I saw this way back from my old side of YouTube. All these people that had fun talking shit about me. I'm glad they did. I was very happy to oblige, living rent-free in those ever so small, the size of an atom of a pea, size noggins of theirs upstairs there, Pretty hollowed out. Could you envision somebody being that obsessed over somebody online? I'm sure not. Anyways, that's really all I had to talk about tonight. But yeah, it was funny to take Wombat on and to correct him on something, and I'm like, I got something I gotta correct you on. I think this needs to get out. You should probably know a little bit of something more about me and my involvement with friends of mine from the day, and still are, widely still are, when it pertains to Mr. P, when he was just getting started with his channel. And here you are, thinking you're going to have fun trolling over that one. Good luck, buddy. Lisa B was another one. I got to know her long before most of you got to know her at all. And then Black Rose, of course, blocking me off of it for all of 9 or 10 months, whatever it was. So yeah, I did know. I knew Lisa B. I don't know if I'm not gonna say I knew her before Black Rose, but Black Rose was not around that I recollect when Lisa B first started going live. If she was, which is possible, she certainly was not a moderator, like a manager mod for her. No, I think Trunk Monkey might have been her first moderator. Sounds about right. So, anyways, neither here nor there now. Not that it really matters, but as far as her channel goes, no, you really don't find me on it anymore. And does that have anything to do with me being like mad at her? No, I'm not mad at her at all. For those inquiring minds that gotta know, did she kick me off of her channel? No, she didn't kick me off her channel. I just choose really not to get on there really much or at all anymore, because she's got manager moderators that it's her channel. She can make whoever it is that her heart desires to be one of those. I am nobody to tell her who she can and cannot have as a manager mod. But the thing about it is, when you have manager mods out there, and you know what they're going to do when they see me coming around, they're going to be rogue mods. They're going to pop me on site. I'm just like, okay, fine. You can have this to yourself, but you're not going to find me around here much longer, or perhaps ever again, if that's what you're going to do. And who are you gonna have fun popping now? So that would be why I choose not to come around a channel. So there is that. Let's see. No. Nice attempt to troll there, Queef. Ignored once again. So, and we're not discussing my prior resume at this time. You could go back to Flying Monkey if you want to. And the reason I say that's, well, simple, because she's the one that put that out there to begin with on her channel. In a scheduled live stream in a thumbnail in March 6th of 2023. That's, of course, above what the rest of you even knew about. You just learned it second and third hand from people that hang out on all those other drama channels much after the fact. So I guess if there's anyone you want to challenge on whether I did that job or not, you'll have to go back to her channel. The last I heard, one of her next to kin has got supposedly has access to that channel. Maybe they can help you out. And if she's not around, then that's the way it is. You can go talk to that person. Go on the channel, drop a comment, see if you get a response. There you go. Simple as that. Problem solved on everybody's end. And we all lived happily ever after on YouTube. So, anyways, let's see here. Interesting. I will say one thing to Mr. Queef Control's comment there. I have actually done a little bit of digging on some of these YouTube cop channels, and what I found was some of them, not all of them, were what you would call special police. And this was the case with one of the co-hosts on Live PD when that show first got going. And special police are in some of these states are just armed security officers that are given the status of quote unquote special police because they're armed, and while they're on duty, they have full arrest powers on the properties that they're protecting. So, in all fairness, examining at what exactly their job duties are and entail, they're not like full-time. They're not at all full street beat cops at all. They are assigned to. They work for companies. Is what they work for. They work for companies. Different firms, like even G4S or some of the other ones. What was the other large company? I'm very tired right now. Let's see, that G4S, and then Allied Universal. That's another major company, or perhaps a smaller, more local company. And they get to have that status of like special police, or North Carolina, they call them company police. Same thing, same ideal. Hours, but while they're basically doing armed security detail. So you have to kind of, if you know what any of that stuff entails, which I'm sure you don't, and many other people do not, you've got to kind of examine what all they're doing. Now, they are, those individuals are considered to be quote unquote special police or auxiliary type police. They are. But the thing of it is they're not in the same fashion or boat as a road cop that's out there patrolling a metro area or even a college campus. A college campus might hire them, or they might have their own internal like special police if that's the road they want to go, depending on what state regulations in that particular state allow or would have per se. But people see those kind of titles and positions, and they think that, wow, this must be some luxurious, lustrous, basically elitist law enforcement officer or agent, and in reality, they are armed security officers, but they have the privilege of arresting full arrest powers on those properties or wherever they're assigned to, whether it's like City Hall, if it's a government building, property, or whatever. And that would, that gives them a little bit more privileges than just like armed security in my home state, which does not have full arrest powers or any arrest powers beyond citizen's arrest, which I'm sure you guys all knew and researched before I just told you that. I am for total sure, which you obviously did not. But it's really funny to see you guys on the whole Abe was a fake cop thing. What is this, going on 3.5 years or something later? That's really funny. And that does tell me, though, you guys do not have anything else to troll me with other than that. I think that's comical to me, actually. So, that being said, now I'm only going to make one comment about that trolling statement that you just made, TOS. And that individual who was, I think wasn't he judge? I think a judge ordered his YouTube content or deletion of his channel or something like that. With a lot of the cases, or I don't know, convictions and plea deals that guy has gone through, had gone through the course of time. There's another guy you guys should really highlight that you don't know about, obviously, because this is the person that you always bring up. The thing you have to understand about that individual, who otherwise is known as Jeremy DeWitt, that individual was not doing anything security or law enforcement related in any way, shape, or form. Rather, that guy started a company that did funeral escorts in the state of Florida, which under Florida statute authorizes those licensed firms or companies to use violet and amber flashing lights on escort vehicles, much the same as like a hearse would have on it, or like a funeral procession would have either yellow flashing lights, or some states have adopted the violet or purple lights. It just depends on the states. So that guy was not involved in anything, to my knowledge, either security or law enforcement related. Now, he might have done security work or something like that, perhaps prior, but in the context of which you guys misuse him, trying to compare him to people like myself that was on an actual state accredited campus law enforcement agency that once existed that no longer does, however, that's not really a comparison you can make. We were not involved at my job in doing funeral escorts for anyone. So there's that. And then, of course, the many people that had encountered him and filed complaints against him and road rages and stuff, or impersonating an officer, things of that sort. I mean, that's his problem to deal with. So that's really all I had to say about that one. The individual I was going to quote for the other individual I was going to get you guys to research, since you're really into that stuff, obviously, with trolling me over it or trying to. There was a guy that worked at this small shopping mall, enclosed shopping mall. It was very small. The mall's still there as far as I know. It was somewhere down south, I think. Like, it was in like Memphis or somewhere down there, Nashville. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's been quite a while. There's Patty Mayo, of course, who's just an actor who played the role of a bounty hunter, and then later as a sheriff's task force agent or whatever. And that guy is neither nor. He's just doing videos to make money. He's just an actor. Him and his buddies, or whoever he pays to be his actors, doing rehearsed, staged, scenes, videos, spitting for your entertainment. It works. Purity, or at least he had a taser, and he worked in this high crime shopping mall, and he was like the chief of security or director of security, but he was like the only one there, or him and a couple guys. I don't know. I can't. This has been a while, and this guy was deploying his taser way too much. He was tasing the living daylights out of anyone that he could. And that guy had a body cam on, and of course, law enforcement tasers. If anyone knows anything about those, which are not, taser is no longer taser. Taser was bought out like almost a decade ago, I would say, by Axon, which makes the body cams and things like that. So the tasers, they record data. So when you deploy that taser, when you have to test that taser, when it powers on, when it powers off, it's got a data recorder in it. Some of these tasers have a built-in camera, and they record audio when you deploy those things. But this guy, however, whether his taser was equipped with any of that or not, obviously it was definitely equipped with recording and built-in recording device. Because once you plug that into your charging cradle, that data is downloaded and it goes to a computer's hard drive. Now, naturally, I don't know what I'm talking about with this stuff, of course, but I actually kind of sort of do. I've had training and certification in that prior. So, but this guy was deploying his taser on everybody every like young adult or grown, someone older even. Anybody that was giving him a hard time, or even if they were causing a disturbance, loitering, or whatever it is, whatever the issue was, and he wanted him gone, he was a little too trigger happy with that taser of his, wound that guy in a lot of hot doo-doo. I remember that. So look him up. I don't remember the name of the company that he worked for, that was contracted to protect that mall, to do the security for it, but it shouldn't be hard to find. Should not be hard to find that guy, even on Google. So anyways, I really don't care about that. No, it does not go to the FBI. That is incorrect. So as far as I know, the FBI they don't carry tasers anyway, and I think you know that. Now the FBI police, I'm sure they do. That's the law enforcement people that are the FBI's internal police force. And you'll see them. You won't see them around FBI buildings and stuff like that are, around the country that are not like in major metro cities where they would be based out of, like DC or Chicago or wherever around the country. Just like you see the FPS police, Federal Protective Services, or DHS, or maybe at a VA hospital, you'll see the VA police. All these federal agencies, even the HHS, Health and Human Services, has their own internal police force. Did you guys know that NOAA has their own law enforcement division too? It's pretty small, I heard, but they're there. They are definitely there. Whether they're enforcing like fish and game, or if they're, whatever it is they're doing, maybe they're protecting NOAA assets and properties. They're out there. They're hard to find unless you're in, like I say, where probably they're headquartered out of. So, I mean, it's not every city around the country that has a local forecast office or some kind of weather NOAA, complex or something in it. It's kind of sparse. They're obviously scattered throughout the country at different locations for radar, convenience, and stuff like that, for reflectivity, if you guys know anything about radar. So, if that be the case. So again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just completely oblivious. I just make shit up as I go along, right? Not hardly. Did you know if you rock the taser, either left or right, it changes the electrodes, the probes to either shooting someone up close or further away at a distance. Did you guys know that? I did. So now there's a new model of tasers that hold more cartridges. And and works completely different than the older model tasers. So as that technology evolves, so does the functionality of it too, just as like you would see with technology today. So, anyways, I will tell you this though, in reference to that character, Jeremy DeWitt. If I was doing what he was doing in what would be Florida in this case, I would not have myself or any of my team wearing handcuffs or batons or tasers or any of that stuff, because it's a funeral escort service. So you're not doing anything like security or I mean, I guess in a sense, yeah, your protection detail for your escorting as far as that goes, but it's not to the extreme where it's a high stakes roller game, and it's potential for extreme danger is present. 9 times out of 10, you're just simply escorting a procession and with vehicle. So, your actual contact with the public in person is going to be at a minimum at best. So I would not have any of that stuff or any training on that or certifications for anyone involved in that aspect of it. Now, if I had a security company on the side, however, that was doing security work for a building or some property somewhere, well, hell yeah, I would have them wearing that stuff and trained in it. You betcha. That's their job. They're the protection, the eyes and ears of that property. I mean, I will say this: as much as people try to shit on security officers or guards, or what you call a night watchman, is an old term like for someone guarding like a warehouse or something like that. I mean, security way outweighs and outnumbers law enforcement officers in this country like almost tenfold. So I will say, for anyone who is or was or actively doing being a street cop somewhere or a sheriff's deputy or whatever capacity, having those extra eyes and ears of knowing that there is someone watching a property, especially at nighttime when there's traffic's at a minimum, it's dark out, the potential for criminal activity on these properties is prevalent, it's much higher, much greater. I mean, if that was me, I would be appreciative knowing that is probably going to be one less property that I'm going to have to worry about on my beat patrol, because there's someone there. There's eyes and ears there that are watching and protecting that. And just in case I get into a dicey situation at or really nearby there, maybe, just maybe, I can get immediate backup and help from those people just in case I need it. So that's the flip side of that. People say, well, security people, they don't have a clue what they're doing. They're all a bunch of dumb, dimwits, idiots. It's not true at all. I've worked with people that have had their master degrees. I've worked with retired teachers, educators, all kinds of people. It's pretty amazing. I've worked with a lot. Did you guys know that pretty much any retired law enforcement, anything, is highly likely going to wind up doing that kind of work at least part-time after they retire too. In other words, I work with a lot of retired cops doing those kind of jobs. I did, actually, especially when I was armed doing that. The typical stereotype, I could say I have met people that are in actual law enforcement, yes, that if you wanted my view of it, my opinion of it, really ought not be in it. Have absolutely no business doing that line of work at all whatsoever. Either A, they're afraid of their own shadow, all right? B, their social skills kind of suck. or they have like they have a hot temper. They're easily triggered, and they're just not well at working with the public. You get any line of work, you are going to have any mixture of people doing those jobs. And unfortunately, in some cases, even people that wind up in those roles that wind up being criminals themselves. I'm sure you've read and seen that one, especially if you're hanging out here on YouTube. So many of us have been following the Karen Read trial. Well, there you go. Another prime example. People in law enforcement getting in some really dicey and questionable scenarios of whether or not they're found guilty or not. Just being involved in something like that. But it happens. It does. It happens to the best and worst of us out there. Cops being no exemption to the rule. Really not. So, anyways, I don't know what else to discuss about that particular topic. I know we've got a lot of pseudo YouTube scholars out there that know everything about this stuff, and naturally I don't, because, well, it's part of the Abe Troll, right? It's convenient for us to get on here and it's fun to fuck around with this guy because, well, it's just what we do. But in actual reality is, I think more than half the stuff I just disclosed to you guys, you didn't know. Or at least a quarter of it. So, yes, unfortunately, every line of work, you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad, you're going to get the outright ugly, just like the Clint Eastwood old Western from way back in the day. Anyways, well, that's a pretty loaded question to ask of me, TOS, when you're trying to compare me to a guy who has been in and out of the criminal system. The thing that I am aware with that particular character is he went into running that funeral escort service as a prior convicted felon before he even got in it. Now, how did that guy get to do that? Because you have to have state licensure. Well, not everyone who gets state licenses has to have a squeaky clean record, But as I understood it, and I could be corrected on this one, is Jeremy DeWitt had the licensing for his company in his wife's name or something, and that's how that all ran. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I have not seen one of those particular videos, and probably at least four that the whole Patty Mayo, if you followed him or any of his content, it came out that it's all just rehearsed, staged acting, and they're all just actors. Much the same as shows like Dog the Bounty Hunter. How much of that stuff do you think was staged? You guys remember? You remember the show Operation Repo on, was it Court TV? That's an oldie but a goodie. Oh, that was all fake. Did you guys know that? That was all staged. What that show? If you read that really fast moving, when they rolled the closing credits on that particular show, like a lot of them were back then. We're going back like 15, 20 years ago now, something like that, or maybe even longer in some cases. A lot of those, most of those was all just, again, actors. And then what they would put a disclosure at the end of the show, and they would say that everything that's portrayed in this throughout the sequence of this show is depicting true stories of repo men that have been in these kind of like dicey situations in the past, but not what they're doing per se, really at all. It's all just acting. And then they'll put a disclosure in there, of course, that they'll say, hey, the characters in this scene and in this show are not intended in any way, shape, or form to directly depict people that were actually, involved in these real scenarios prior. Who remembers Rescue 911 with William Shatner back in the 90s? And the whole purpose of that show was to advertise the proper use, aside from introducing us to what 911 actually is. And we're going back to like 1989 or 1990. And during that time, a lot of us were just getting 911 service. I mean, we didn't get 911 in my community until 1991. And that's actually true. So, if you look at a show like that, well, everything in that show was rehearsed. It was all acting. Now they would interview the actual cops and paramedics and firefighters and victims that survived, or people that were actually involved in those real scenarios, usually at the beginning and at the end. But the actual video sequencing, what you were seeing was obviously nothing like cops. It was just acting. In other words, they were just kind of replaying the sequence of events using paid actors. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So kind of shows bar rescue. I don't care what it is. Even was it diners, drive-ins, and dives? Remember that one? Any of those kind of shows. Any of them. I don't care. I hate to trip your trigger. Survivor. All these shows. I hate to tell you guys this, but a lot of that is what's called acting. Actually, all of it is. And although there's a ton of ad-lib stuff, and I'm sure, don't get me wrong, there are some things that actually did go down, like heated arguments or things, but people are overacting. They're doing this. It's jock shock content value. Same thing we got out here in drama panels. People love drama. They chase it. It's what sells. I could sit here all day long and talk to you guys about, we could talk about meteorology stuff. Now, I am not a meteorologist. I never said I was. I've taken some classes in it, but that doesn't make me a meteorologist. No. Much the same as having taken MBA law does not make me an attorney at law. Doesn't even make me a paralegal. But it was a required college class that I took that taught me some of the basics of some of that stuff. That's all it is. So, now as far as other things I have done, getting FCC radio commercial broadcast licenses, well, yeah, that's actually real. I did do that. And those kind of licenses are required to do certain things. Good morning, AYB. How you doing? Welcome. Say hello to all my trolls in the chat. Well, not all trolls. Karaoke panel someday, Abe. Well, yeah, that would definitely give him some content value for sure. But I do not dirty delete my content. I have privatized as very few live streams as I could, and that's just because there's just complete and repeated egregious my scope, but my time and effort to sit there and chop and censor stuff out all through a 2 or 3 or 4 hour, in some cases 8 or 9 hour live stream that I otherwise really wanted to leave up. But there's a lot of that goes on out here, you bet. People that they'll do a live stream, and there's no real violations going on there, but they'll throw it on private. Now, one of the reasons people are doing that now, obviously, is because there's an ongoing strike war. Now, and they know that, hey, if someone wants to really get them, they're going to do it. They're going to get one of those takedown strikes. So I totally get that. Don't get me wrong. If you're just, you're trying to look out for your channel, that's one thing. But what we call dirty deleting, that's another thing. Capgun dirty deleted a comment in the shit show server that I left there for him yesterday, and everyone else that was in there, and I was highlighting how hey, I says, you guys really have room to talk here about me and my server and stuff, because, well, quite frankly, I remember a lot of you guys were in LG's VC's pretty hot and heavy last year, where I was not. I saw them in there, but I didn't join them. So yeah, because if I join them, it's just going to become a huge Abe dog pile, and that's all they're going to do. Same bullshit all over again. So I just avoided them. I'm like, well, why waste my time? You know, why waste my time, energy, and effort with this? So I didn't. I just chose not to. But I'm glad I chose not to, because these people literally all let their guards down while they were busy telling tales about, me or whoever it is they were discussing. It doesn't really matter. They just, I guess, either looked over the fact or just winged it. Whichever came first, that somebody might be in there recording them and everything they're saying. Because that's why they were in there to begin with and not on YouTube panels, right? Because they could hide in the stealth. No one would know what they were saying except for them. Well, that's not exactly what happened. And I do remember the disclosure, and I've got screenshots of that. An LG server was saying, no recording allowed. Okay. Somebody help me out here. Do you guys in the chat honestly believe that someone that's nefariously recording everything going on in those Discord servers, particularly that one, is going to heed the warning not to record everyone because you put a disclaimer on the channel itself that says no recording allowed? That is beyond hilarious. Hysterical. I'm sorry. That's exact. Hey, how you doing there, Siren, with the cool Japanese? I believe those are characters. That's a good question. I don't know what the hell's happening either, but I do like the layout of your channel. I think that's pretty cool. But welcome. So yes, I did put a comment in there. I got a screenshot of it before Capgun deleted it. He dirty deleted it, and I called him out for it, and they timed me out for 48 hours. That's the shit show server, by the way. Now, that's me discussing my comments and what I was saying in there. So, whatever things everybody else was saying in there that had nothing to do with, that per se, I'm not putting... I didn't even put out the screenshot of that. I haven't. I mean, I could. There'd really be nothing unethical about doing that. Me putting out a comment that I left on a server and nobody else, well, there's really, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing ill intent or illegit about that. But I haven't. I have it. I didn't put it out there. I don't really need to put it out there because I'm telling you guys what was going on in there. What the comment that I left that he deleted, and obviously he didn't want that getting out there. I don't know why he didn't want that getting out there, but he just didn't want to get it out there, right? Oh, you're in Korea? Sirens? Well, that's not too cool. Stay safe out there. Anyways, here. I had a chance to look at your channel, but welcome aboard. Have a wrench. So glad you're here with us. Now, so these people all let their guards down. And as far as I'm concerned, every one of them did this on the server. And they were saying all kinds of things in there that obviously they would be, and they were, I am for sure, embarrassed that it got out there. Now, this happened in my server at one time that I know of. It is my fault that happened. I take full responsibility for that. Now, for guys that say, oh, Abe never owns any of his shit. Bull fucking shit. Pardon my French. I own that. See, it was Heber Operator who actually says, who is this person in here with the, what was it, like a Lexus Jeep avatar? Like the original Unholy account had? I'm not saying it was Unholy because it's actually Truthfinder. He was secretly recording in there for like 40-something minutes. And he decided to use that in a nefarious way. And he knows what he did. He knows he did wrong, and I've told him that. Directly to him more than once. It's been discussed. It has with all parties that he put that on his old channel, uploaded it, and then hashtagged somebody so that they could get a copy of it themselves. That was my fault. I should have asked who that was. My server was the happening place at the time. Now, however, if the multiple hours, and I mean hours and hours, we didn't get a chance to hear all of it, I am for total sure. You got to remember, guys, these people were hanging out on that server for hours, all day, all night, literally all night long. And there was anywhere from 6 to like 36 of them in it at one time. There were so many of them in there that you'd have had to have your camera turned off to, obviously increase the available bandwidth for other people to get in there. So that was the era of everyone piling in VCs in this drama community. And when that stuff started getting blasted, it was getting blasted on a couple of channels that I know of, at least 3 of them or 4 of them, at least 3 I can think of off the top of my head. I'm like, damn, this is some pretty damaging stuff. Some of it is. A lot of it's just gossip. Well, it's all gossip, but it's this stuff that obviously people didn't want to get out there, but it did. Yes, you may swear. As long as they don't censor it, I won't censor it. As long as, it's within reason. But that's my thing. My neighbors are shit. Well, I mean, a lot of us have neighbors we don't like. So I get you. I do. So, that pretty much, as far as I can tell, and I am not in all these different servers that all these guys are in, all right? I'm only in a handful of them. And I usually wind up getting kicked out of those for no reason, or because people like to fuck with me in those servers, and they can dish this shit out and they can't take it back, and they come at me with that, and they get their feelings hurt and they start timing me out, or they just kick me out or yank my role. This is what these guys do. This is how they troll. That's pretty low down and dirty. It is. It's pretty petty, actually. It's really petty. When you talk shit about somebody and you group troll them, it's the same shit over and over and over again. And your response is to A, time them out, B, kick them out of the server as a last ditch resort, or just simply yank all their roles and stick them in a dark room, like what I call like a shadow room, a room that it's just like the welcome. It's either the welcome channel where you can't see anything, or it's just some room that nobody even monitors or uses anyway. You're still in the server, but you're not in the rest of it. So yeah, these are some of the dirty tactics that get deployed out here. They really are. So for any channel owner or server owner that does not engage in that, whether I agree with anything or everything you say, or whatever your stance or your view of whatever is or isn't, I will give you kudos for not doing that. If you don't do that, does not mean I'm here to agree and with everything that y'all say. It just simply means that I acknowledge the fact that you do not pull these same dirty, rotten, conniving, very disingenuous tactics, these troll tactics, on people that you're fucking with. And that's just how I read. That's how I see that. That is what goes on out here, guys. It absolutely is. Somebody out there want to prove me wrong? I'm like Ross Perot. I'm all ears. Read my lips. No new taxes, right? That's right. I mean, when I voted for the POTUS, it was like the junior Bush. He was running for president at that time. It was George W. Bush. That was just before 9/11. And was he running against Al Gore that year? I think he was. So anyways, that's about all I really had to say. We're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to get out of here. I went on way longer than I intended to. But anyways, we hit a lot of stuff here tonight. And trust me, I am nobody here to change the world. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I go live from time to time. Has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with it. I go live to interject my own commentary. I like to say my piece. All of that, and there it is. Anyways, you keep trying to troll. You've already gotten your attention for the night, Queef, and you've maxed out. Sorry. I'm gonna slap a draw 4 card on you, and we're gonna change the color to green. Why? Because that's my favorite color. That's why. So take that. But some of the colors, is it blue or something? Blue and maybe yellow, or like the more rare colors, it would seem. Maybe green's kind of in the middle. It was always kind of that way when I would play that game. Uno. That was a fun game playing growing up. Anyways, I don't know. Do people play those games anymore? Probably digitally more, right? On the computer. I think everybody's like, hey, good morning, Patriot. You're just in time for me to say good night, good morning, good night, wherever you may be. But in the world of YouTube, I would say nothing is as it seems. And I did steal that from a movie. I think it was called The Recruit, where the one guy said, in the world of intelligence, nothing is as it seems. So there it is. No, that's actually not true. But nice try again. Keep trying. Anyways, as irrelevant as ineffective, in my view of it, as guys who try to push themselves to be relevant, is the reason why I started this live stream to begin with 2 hours ago. Guys known as like Combat Wombat, who obviously isn't that. It seems to be more of an ungrateful jackass that I actually let that guy get on my panel one time so he could take a whack at Mike Cerrone. He knew exactly what he was going to do. So there you go. But it's amazing how I think it was Nemesis that pointed out. He's like, yeah. I think he said one time, he's like, it's amazing how you'll allow all these people on your channel, but they won't allow you on all of their channels. That you'll give them wrenches, but they won't give you wrenches. They'll time you out like all hell, but you'll time them out, and boy, do they have a cow. They blow along. They sure as hell do. Again, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Those who can dish it out but cannot take it back. And that's exactly how it is, how I see it. Until somebody convinces me otherwise, or dares to. I mean, hey, I'm here. And I'm not that hard to reach. You guys know me. I'm always around. Yeah, cool, man. Thanks for coming around. But like I say, I'm not for censoring channels. No matter how quote unquote annoying they may be, and I know that's arbitrary. Now, I did tell that guy Capgun and others. I think I actually made a response in a server, so everybody got to see it. And I had noted, I says this is on the shit show server. That's where it was. I says, Capgun. I says, your Abe rules are seemingly getting more arbitrary as we go along, literally by the day, hell, by the minute, by the second. And obviously, it's all done as a troll. But to me, it's a weak troll at that. But the reason I said, it's your Abe rules in this server that you yourself have come up with. There was a couple of rules that an administrator gave me to follow, or they instructed me not to do in that server, and I've always abided by that. But this is all part of the troll, right? It's out of the car, and you'll respect my authority. Wham, wham, smacking him with his little baton after he pulls him over with his little tricycle with red and blue lights on it. Some motorist. Yeah, that's what you call it, South Park for you. So neither here nor there. I'm like, your rules are very arbitrary. Your Abe rules. And I compared it to the first established national speed limit in America. Wasn't that like 55 miles per hour in the 70s? I think it was. So why did I say that? What was the point? What was the whole point to that? Did that have anything to do with Jimmy Carter, with President Jimmy Carter? I believe he was in office at that time. We're going back to like mid-ish 70s, early mid 70s. It was after Ford lost the election and he got it in 75, 6. Somewhere in there. So basically, the reason that we have had then and have established now what is known as the national speed limit, which of course states have since adjusted the national speed limit to their own standards on our nation's highway system. However, I want you guys to know something about when we established the national speed limit. You do realize that it had absolutely, positively nothing to do with driver safety, but rather it had to do with the Clean Energy Conservation Act or Protection Act, whatever they called it back then, instead. So it had nothing to do with driving safely. That is why guys like me can say and not just throw it out there, just to throw it out there, that our nation's speed limits are arbitrary because they really are. They were not established for safety, and that's the truth. At least not the national speed limit. So you learn some more useless knowledge that you never thought you needed to know on my show today. If you probably didn't know that, but I remember just reading about that many years ago, and that's true. So it makes you wonder, well, if that's an arbitrary law, what other laws in this country have we established, we the people, have established that is, in fact, arbitrary? Now, I got into arguments with some of the best and worst of you out there over what's called discretionary powers of law enforcement. And a lot of people are very much against it. I know Nemesis is very much against, was at least then, probably still is now, saying that cops should not have discretionary power. What is discretionary power? Well, it's not. What it means is if a cop witnesses you break the law before them, or they have probable cause to effect some sort of an arrest, that they don't carry it through. They don't actually execute it. And they do not arrest you for the crime. That is called discretionary power. Another example of discretionary power is a cop sees you on your cell phone, not wearing your seatbelt, and driving 15 miles an hour over the posted speed limit, which in many states would put you in the category of reckless driving. Not negligent driving, reckless driving. There's a big difference there. So the cop decides to only issue you a written warning for not wearing your seatbelt, or just one simple ticket, one citation, and they decide to skip the rest. Another example would be if you were caught speeding, 10 miles over the speed limit, and they decide to write the ticket out for only going 1 to 5, and they cut it down so it would take minimal points. You could take the driver safety class on that one if you hadn't taken it within a year or 6 months to a year. So that is an example of discretionary powers. So as much as people curse at it, saying cops abuse discretionary powers, Nixon established it. Okay, good to know. So then it wasn't Carter, it was Nixon that established it. Then you've obviously done your Google homework. Good. I appreciate that. Good for you. But thanks for correcting that. You spotting that, Mr. Sock account. Mr. Ms. or It Sock account. So Nixon established that speed limit of 55. Or President Ford made it 55. Nixon made it 50. Okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. But if we don't have discretionary power, what that means is that we are expecting every road cop out there to enforce every single law to the absolute letter of the law, not the spirit. Do you guys remember Law and Order season 1 when that was noted in the courtroom, the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law? I do. So, anyways, I was paying attention even when I was a kid. Isn't that something? I did. So I was like, oh, what a nerd this guy was. You guys have room to talk. You're on the internet, hanging out with me, right? No, we're all hanging out here on the internet together. We're all in this together. God help us. May God have mercy on our soul. Wham! Goes the gavel. So, anyways, just got 300 years in the electric chair. So there it is. There it was. There it shall be. Anyways, let's see. That's all I really wanted to say. But I would compare the way we handle just people handle things in general in the drama community. I would actually compare it. It's very comparable to that national posted speed limit back in the 70s that I was talking about prior. Because the rules out here of who we're going to ice out, who we're going to make a lolcow, who we are going to just, someone who is rejected, not one of us. All of that, in my view of it, is very arbitrary. In other words, it is done on the fly. There's no really rhythm, rhyme, or reason necessarily always to it. Not to say that, well, we ice that person out for this reason because they're actually on paper for something pretty bad. Potentially legit reason why you would do that to somebody. But at the end of the day, you're talking to a guy who's not on paper, and myself has worked for university, police, and public safety. Hey, shout out to Flying Monkey for throwing that on May 6th of 2023 on her channel. That is. And then later for the rest of you guys to learn that. And the many harassing phone calls people like Rick Crude made to that place the years after we were already gone and dissolved. It was so funny to watch him make a video, and I actually had that downloaded. It was off of his old channel, so I could technically re-upload that, and there's nothing he could really do about it. But he went on like Google Street Maps, and it doesn't show the whole campus. It only shows about half of it when you actually get on there. So it looks like you think, oh, this is real small, but actually it goes way back. It veers off on at a T intersection, and there's a whole bunch of buildings that go way, way back and takes you out towards the back gate, including a huge theater complex and a science building, specifically the Star Science and the Clark Arts building. Two monstrously huge buildings, hundreds of rooms. Hundreds, and I mean hundreds. These are older buildings that were built in the 1960s. Interesting history to that place. If it's too bad all you guys want to do is fuck around with me over my old job. If you really were interested in learning about it, I could talk a storm up about the history. Is actually quite interesting. It actually traces its roots back to the year 1847. But anyways, since all you guys want to do is troll, then me over it, then you get what you give. Remember what I said, guys. That's how I fly. That's how I operate. Sorry. You get out of me what you put into me. I'm not talking about monetary gains. I'm not talking about people sending me cash apps, okay? I'm just talking about you being cool or not being cool. And I'm not alienating my fan base at all. I'm talking about they know who they are. Some of them are watching this right now. They know damn good and well who they are. Of course they do. Of course they do. So anyways, neither here nor there. It is what it is. Will this stream change the world? This reminds me of a show, a skit that was done on Animaniacs back in the early 1990s when Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead were airing new shows. And Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventures. And let's see, what else is going on back then? Back to the Future 3 was coming out, I believe. 2 and 3. Or 3, I think. 3, because I think 2 was like 89 or something, wasn't it? Or something. Maybe it was a little before that, because the first one was in 85, I think. Something like that, like Short Circuit and a lot of those kind of geeky, funny War Games. You remember that one? That was a good old movie. Talk about black screens with green lettering and font on it. It was and those old monochrome screens. That was crazy. So, um, anyways, you know what? I appreciate that. You actually said something halfway decent to me. And that's probably about a first. I got a screenshot of that one. So Iced Out, actually read that one before I get going out of here. Iced Out and Canceled says, Abe, I believe you were a state trooper before I believe one word Rick Crude said. And that's the epitome of this. Rick Crude started all the lies about me to begin with. That I was a PDF file and had been to prison and all this other bullshit. And people bought into those lies. I've talked about it profusely before. People bought into those lies because it was convenient for them to do so. I mean, that's the only reason that they would have done that. Otherwise, they would have said, hey, wait a minute, is there any truth to that? And they would have confronted him about it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and knock everybody because not everybody did go along with that, okay? I just called out one person. I didn't call them out. I just addressed them for having done that on their show, on their live channel show. When I was discussing when AC was up there with Rick and myself and whoever else was up on the panel on his channel one night, and he kind of basically put him in his place. All he simply said was, come on, Rick, you know we don't call people like that unless we have proof that we can show beyond any shred of doubt that this is in fact them and they are in fact what you're claiming they are. And if you don't have any kind of proof, you don't go around saying that. But again, he didn't heed the warning or the advisory, in other words, and he went ahead and carried on with it the very next day. And this is what he does. Why did he do that? Well, he was angry at me. Why was he angry? Because he said I nuked his channel. That's why. That's his modus operandi, his MO, right there. That's why Rick Crude did what he did. If he tells you any otherwise, he's a bald-faced liar. His channel got nuked, and he blamed me for doing it. That's why he did what he did. And others wanted to join the Hate Abe train, and or the Hate Abe movement, whatever you want to call it, the Abe Nayers Association. That's what I call them. That's why I call myself the Anti-Abe Nayers Association, AAA. Not to be confused with the channel, was it Amateur Aquatic Addiction? However, but for the sake of argument, yes. People out here, and I'm still sitting here 2 hours and 18 minutes into this, waiting for one person, just one of yous out there, to set the record straight on my ass and put me in my place. And if you want to get up on my panel sometime, I will make a devoted panel just for you. Who wants to correct me on that? People in this fucked up drama sector, and I mean fucked up drama sector, they tend to buy into lies that are told about other people only when it's convenient for them to do so. And why would I say that? Because they're not challenging the people that are putting that shit out there, whether challenging the authenticity of what their claim is from the start. If somebody says bullshit about somebody and spreads lies, well, then you have an obligation to do what's called your due diligence, if you know what the hell that means, instead of malicious prosecution, if you know what the hell that means, and basically trying to character assassinate someone's image on this godforsaken platform. Right? Exactly. Hell, Corrosive Commentary admitted out there, and I got screenshots of that. I'm sorry, it was a clip. I have a clip of that, where he's openly saying, hey, this is what people do out here. They latch onto stuff that you say, or I'm sorry, they latch onto something that they know they can hit a nail on with you, and they just keep using it over and over and over again just to fuck with you as a troll. Now, that's not what he said verbatim, however, but that is actually correct. See, I do give credit where credit is due. Yes, I do. Rick does lie, and he does it for attention. That is correct. And he's openly admitted that. But people out here either either go with the flow, they go along with it. Again, when it's convenient to do so, which is what they do. And they people tend to tell and only jog along and follow what are known as half truths. Now, I made a brand new term to plant like a seed, water it, and watch this damn thing grow like a chia pet, and that is called one-way transparency. I'm going to put that in my community tab as soon as I'm done. One-way transparency. What does that mean? What that means is when everybody expects you to be outright forthcoming and totally honest and to only tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, YouTube and Google. Google sounds better, actually. They demand that you show receipts for everything you say. And then when you do show receipts, they'll deny those are really legitimate receipts, and they'll sit there and demand more receipts, right? Exactly. Of course, they'll do completely the opposite of what they're telling or challenging you on themselves. That is what I call almost out of breath here. This is great. It's called one-way transparency. There's a one-way sign, and it says transparency. Now, don't think for a minute. I'm going to go try to find me a road sign, a one-way sign, and I'm going to add the letters on there if I can find room. I'll find a one-way sign. I'll go on eBay. I'll find one of them. And hell, I'll make my own. It'll say one-way transparency. I'll take a picture of it, and I'll throw up my community tab. I can actually make a digital one just as easy, and I have to pay for it, so I'll do that. Road signs don't run cheap these days. Speaking of road signs, and we're talking about Rick Crude, didn't he steal one or two of those one time? Didn't he do that on video? I thought he did. Anyway, you correct me on that. All right, so that's all I have to say. I don't have anything else to discuss, but I do appreciate you guys coming around the mountain. You know, I do. I'm going to go down the list here of people on my top fans. This is the XP. So for 150 XP goes to the one, the only Queef Control, aka Gas Control Rich. Actually, with 100 XP is whoever's behind the account, iced out and canceled. The channel that has the Japanese characters got 75. Coming in number 4, fourth spot is Ask Your Bartender with 75 XP. Number 5, these are all tied in, of course, is TOS, name withheld by Google for security purposes. These are hashtags, by the way. Cooking Once, Blink Stay, 75. 0151, 75. Number 8, also coming in at 75, Swedish Sugar, 75. Number 9, Hebrew Hammer Operator. Smooth Operator, right? Smooth Operator. Something like that. Pip Fed Smoker is got a cat avatar on there, a tabby. I see a cute cat on there, a gray one. At that, 75. Patriot Defense is number 11, 75. LA Spike was in here with 50 XP. John Henzo. Didn't you get timed out on the shit show earlier? Or did you? I don't know. Did you get timed out or did you retract your comment? I don't know because I'm not a mod there. But I saw you drop a comment. It disappeared as quickly as you dropped it. And I didn't even see what you put in the chat. But you got 50 XP at number 13. That's an unlucky number. The next one I know is Hum Along If You Can't Sing Along. Emo's best friend. Not hardly. 50 XP. The Cannon Bowl 2 gets 25 XP. Bendy the Ink Cutie is number 16. It's 25 XP. Hud Ike. You're a dude, and you came from the 1A from before YouTube. Well, that's cool. That's good. You haven't been too nasty and evil to me. lately, so I am going to give you the gift that keeps giving for the time being. And there you go. Now, I want to talk about one more thing before I get up on down the road. There's 19 of you in here right now. What are you guys doing? You're listening to me. I know you're watching me. I know you're there. You're not typing any comments in the chat right now. Fine, be that way. I can be that way too. I could just sit here and not say anything, and you guys can just listen to dead airspace. How do you like that? How do you like them Snapples? So anyways, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to you. But I was going to say something else, but I can't think of what else to say. I'm running out of things to talk about here, guys. Help me out. See, you guys always complain because I don't answer questions, and then when I finally do, you guys have no questions. Not even loaded goat questions that are going to blow up. Anyways, that came from an old TV show. That's where I got that one from. Or a loaded goat question instead of a loaded question. I'm not exactly calling you a goat, but I am. So anyways, like I say, you've got questions, we got blank stares. Anyways, don't know. So, there being no further questions, speak now or forever hold your pieces. Forever's a long time, though. We'll say till the next time I go live and you guys see me again. That's what I'll say. Nerd's still in there. Well, hey, you have a great day yourself, nerd. This is Hump Day Wednesday, middle of the week, middle of the road. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got. Yup, I do remember him very well. I do. Yup, he had a camcorder. I remember that. And who was that other person? Was another auditor or something that he was hanging with? Didn't she? It was a she, and I thought, didn't she pass on or something? I don't know. Something. It's been a while. But I do remember them, and I remember Joe Cool. I remember back about 21 or 22 years ago, there was a guy known as Jimmy Justice that was using a camcorder. Denise Lynn, thank you, her. Yeah, rest in peace, Denise. That's right. Now, there was a guy known as Jimmy Justice, and he was heckling with the New York City parking enforcement agents, and he was catching them illegally parking, breaking the laws that they were paid to enforce and all that for parking. They were civil service workers, but they drove around like black cars with red lights on them and stuff. And they were your meter maids. Your parking enforcement agents, more properly called. But those guys, that guy was even interviewed by like GMA, Good Morning America, and shows like that, and that was really a heyday. And I remember before there was the 1A'ers, there was the 2A'ers. So those were the Second Amendment activists. A lot of those guys were veterans and stuff like that, war vets and the like, and they would go around to like Michigan and open carry states, and they would have their weapons on them, and they would film themselves out in public and see how the cops were going to react to them. I remember that too. I do. Boy, that's some old videos. They're like, if you're lucky, 40 pixels. Wow, that goes back. But I'm new out here, guys. I am a newbie. I'm noob. So. But anyways, yeah, I every time I hear people running around and saying stuff about me that they've heard from other people and throwing out there like it's the actual complete utter truth, especially when they say, "Well, I know for a fact." Well, but that's them telling you without saying it, unconscientiously, of course, that they don't know for a fact. And they're looking for confirmation bias, leading to your character assassination attempt, is what that is. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, again. So there you go. That's all there is to it. That's it. That's all I got. Well, guys, I think next time I go live, I'll pick a much more enchanting a topic. I mean, we could talk about this stuff day in and day out, but what's the use? Why bother? I think sometimes trolls, aside trying to like seek approval or confirmation, there's that word again, the big word. Biases and whatnot of other people and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. Yeah, that's the old Pink Birdo thing. So, anyways, or hold on. That's an Abe Nayers. I like to use that. That's fine. It's all in good fun. Hey, I do not own the copyrights to that, so by all means, guys, feel free. But anyways, nobody even restreams my content anyway, so I can pretty much say whatever I want to out here, and nobody seems to care, and that's fine by me. I don't care either. But is it true to say that one person so eloquently put when they said trolling Abe has become not more or less not just a cottage industry out here, but it's become more of a sport. Wow, that's actually true. I do believe that. And he went on to this person went on to say that these are people that are obviously either bored or unhappy or miserable with their regular lives. I realize that is definitely not more than kind of projection at best, but still, just kind of making the finer point that people that act like they're all that in a bag of chips compared to me may not necessarily be that. Some maybe they are, but others maybe not so much. Don't know, leaving on the eyes of the beholder. So anyways, yes, that is true. It was said way before that, but I'm talking like reintroducing stuff out here. Like when I put out there, what was it? I said iced out. I mean, iced out is that's a term that's been around for a very long time. It was around long before I was, I'm sure, even born myself. So it's not a term that I invented per se, but it is one that I kind of introduced or reintroduced to people to use in excess. I think Rebel Connie is the one who uses it the most now. I don't even really use it anymore. I've moved on to bigger, better terms like one-way transparency. I love that word. Anyways, to all the combat wombats and Capgun Slims out there and all the rest of you, have yourselves a wonderful day. It's hump day today, after all. And what's a better way to get my attention than to hashtag me in Discord servers I'm timed out for, 48 hours to 6 or 7 days. So there is that. I mean, that's kind of cheap. I call it a cheap shot. Way below the belt. You're hashtagging somebody that you know has no ability to respond to you for the foreseeable future. So I thought I would just do it my own way. I mean, hey, that's what Burger King does, right? They have it their own way. Then Dave Thomas, God rest his soul, the founder and CEO of Wendy's, decided to make those burger patties square instead of round, making it the official but unofficial Poor Boys Steakhouse across America. All right, next in line, let's say, would be Steak and Shake. Forgot to say, remember, people. All good things being equal, all good things must come to an end. And remember, the show would not be possible without viewers like you. This is PBS. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. All right, so that's an old bumper. It is. From your public broadcasting service. This is Honest Abe, Home Shopping Network. All right. So, with that in mind, we will catch you later. Oh, remember, the small YouTuber always hedges their bets. They do. I would hope you do, too. At everything in life.
Anyway, we all have but one life to live, so make it count. Somebody I know used to always say that. Somebody I know very close to me. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Have a good one. You're late for the party. Where's your hall pass? Okay, bye. I mean bye this time. Bon voyage.